All right, let's talk about two words you've probably heard 1,000 times, Iman and Kufr. We're going to dig into what they really mean, and I promise, it's way more interesting and active than just belief and disbelief. What we find might actually change the way you read some foundational texts. So, the first question we have to ask is this. Are these two ideas simply black and white opposites? One is belief, the other is disbelief, end of story? Well, what if that whole setup is a huge oversimplification? What if their real relationship is something else entirely? Okay, so look at this. On one side, you have the common view. Iman is a feeling inside you, and kufr is the lack of that feeling. Simple enough. But the linguistic view, the one we're exploring today, paints a totally different picture. It says Iman isn't a feeling, it's a specific, defined action. And kufr isn't its opposite, it's an undefined action. That one little shift makes all the difference. To really get this, we've got to start with Iman. According to some fascinating linguistic work by Khaled Al-Sayed Hassan, we need to forget the whole idea of a passive internal state. Instead, we have to look at what the word is actually doing. And the secret, it turns out, is buried in its Arabic root. So what is it? Linguistically, Aman is the act of giving security to others. It's not something you just have, it's something you do. It's an external, tangible action. Think of it as a commitment you are actively making to create a safe environment for people around you. So, where does this definition even come from? It's not just pulled out of thin air. The word Iman comes directly from the root word Aman. And what does Aman mean? Security, safety, peace. The connection is undeniable. It's baked right into the DNA of the word. It's a really clear and simple progression. You start with the core concept, the noun, M, which is security. When you transform that noun into the form of Iman, it becomes the action of granting that security. It's a powerful idea, not just feeling safe, but actively making things safe.
Okay, so if Iman is this solid, action-based idea of granting security, let's look at its supposed opposite, Kufr. You're about to see that it's not really an opposite at all. It's more like an incomplete thought. The word Kufr literally means to cover something up or to deny it. But that brings up a huge question right away, doesn't it? Deny what? Cover up what? On its own, the word is a total blank. It's an action that's missing its object. And this is the critical point. Kufr is basically meaningless without context. I mean, think about it. Denying tyranny? That's a heroic act. Denying a wild conspiracy theory? That's just being rational. The meaning of the word completely depends on what is being denied, and that can even include denying Iman, the very act of granting security to others.
All right, so theory is great, but let's put this to the test. We have our two new definitions. Iman is granting security, and kufr is an act of denial that needs more information. Let's take this new lens and apply it to a famous verse from the Quran and see if it unlocks a clearer meaning. Here's the verse. Now, you've probably heard this translated as something like, "Those who disbelieve, they will not believe." And honestly, it sounds kind of circular, right? A bit repetitive. But what happens when we use our new linguistic tools? Okay, so the verse starts right off the bat with the action. Those who commit kufr. Now, based on everything we've just talked about, our first question should be, what exactly is the kufr that's happening here? What are these people actively covering up or denying? The word itself doesn't tell us. It's an incomplete idea. But here's the cool part. The verse doesn't leave us guessing. It actually provides its own answer. Check this out. The solution is laid out perfectly right there in the text. The verse opens with that undefined action, those who commit kufr. And then it tells us exactly what that kufr is. The context is given at the end. The specific thing they're denying is the act of granting security. So the verse isn't just saying people who don't believe, well, believe. No. It's saying those who are engaged in an act of denial, and specifically they are denying the act of granting security to others, well, they are not going to grant security. It's not a loop. It's a description of a consistent behavior. And suddenly, it makes perfect, logical sense. This one example shows us something really powerful about how to read and understand these texts. It's a huge shift from just accepting a translation to actively looking for the meaning inside the text itself. So here it is, the big takeaway from the work of Khaled Al-Sayed Hassan. Whenever you see the word kufr, stop. Don't just automatically think disbelief. Instead, put on your detective hat and search the text around it for the context. Ask yourself, what is being denied here? The answer is almost always right there, hiding in plain sight.
And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? If this one linguistic key can unlock such a clear and logical meaning in just a single verse, just imagine the possibilities. How many other verses, concepts, and big ideas could look completely different if we just started searching for the context instead of settling for a simple translation? What else is waiting to be discovered?